So we will look at, we'll not look at the implementation of how to do it, but we will look at how to use Jenkins shared library, okay? It's very, very simple. Extending with shared library, this is where you go. And I will put up this link for you all. This is the link. What you need to do is you have to create a very simple structure of this format, okay? So have a SRC, like you can create a folder under that, create SRC, create wheres, create resources. Okay, we will not need resources for now. The only thing that you need to start with will be wheres. Eventually, we can move to this structure where we use real Groovy code. Okay, but for now, just have wheres. Inside that wheres, you'll add whatever Groovy code you want to add. A very simple Groovy code. Okay. Moving to down, when you go to Jenkins and you go to manage Jenkins, configure systems. I hope I'm recording for you guys. Yeah. So when you go to configure system, global pipeline libraries, as you should see this one where you say add. Okay. When you say add, this structure that you created and uploaded to your GitHub or GitLab repository, right? You should be able to link to that over here. And when you do that, it'll ask you a couple of questions which are here. It'll ask you to give a name to that shared library, and it'll ask you what is the branch that you want to use, okay? And so on and so forth. It's basically asking you to link to your SCM. Once you have linked, and again, what I would tell you is add a very simple file over here, maybe foo.groovy only, okay? In foo.groovy, just have a very simple method. They will be talking about what the method should be down there. Eventually, when you go down here, when you want to use the function from within your code, which is that foo.groovy, you'll have to write the top line in your Jenkins files should be @library, the name that you gave over here. And there's a space and underscore. If you see that, there's a space and underscore. If you want to stick to a specific version, for example, you could add multiple over here, right? You want to pick up a specific version, you can put a version number next to it at which version that you're talking about. Okay. Default version is master if you do not specify the version number. So this is basically the branch that you want, right? And then if you want more than one library, they're giving you an option how to do that. You can pass in a array and then pass both the library names like this. So I would suggest just go with this for now and let it pick up the default branch, whatever is there. Let's not overcomplicate it. Once you know how to use that, then you move to the version that you want from the branch version that you want or a tag that you want. Next, what you can do is you can call the method. For example, over here, they're calling the method. Let's see if they've given a nice function. Yep, this is the function that you need to have in your foo.groovy. You can have def, some function name, and in the bracket, if you want, put helper or don't even put anything, and just return println hello world. To start with, do that. Once you have integrated your code in GitHub and you put up your Jenkins shared library in your Jenkins, hooked up the library, and now you're able to create a new job with a Jenkins file in it by putting this @library, sumlib, whatever that is, right? This example. And you're able to call that function which is there in your shared library. The whole picture is complete. So just to make sure that I put it in the right perspective, let me quickly draw for you. What are the moving pieces? The moving pieces in your GitHub, you need to create a new repository with the structure that I showed you, right? Up there. With that structure, okay? Where's, and that file name is the most important one. Okay, that's the first piece that you need to do. The second thing that you need to do is go to Jenkins, hook shared library. And you already know how to do that, right? So basically you're hooking to this and defining what is the default branch. In our case, it will be main, let's say, not master. Okay, remember that if you put master, it will not work because on our GitHub, we call the master as main. Once this is done, you create a sample repository in GitHub with a Jenkins files in it. And that Jenkins file will have that add load library or whatever that is defined, right? And this name, whatever you give over here, is the name that you specify in the shared library. So remember that another linking piece. Once that is done, if you have a method called hello world over there, you should be able to call hello world. And when the Jenkins job runs in Jenkins, that is the time whatever you have put over here in the code, that system output should show. Start from here. Once you have done this, then you can add as many difficult functions as you want. So basically what you're doing is, instead of doing the whole code here, you'll take this code and put it up in a shared library. Now, it's not only you who can use it. Anybody else who's using your shared library will be able to use that common method. So do you get the whole picture, why the shared library is required now?
Yes, Samir.
Okay, good.
Is that mandatory to call a particular method in this Jenkins file, or can we use the total code if we want?
You can use your own code, but the whole purpose of using a shared library is you're generalizing,
no,
like
not my own code. If we want to use the total code from the bash folder, is that mandatory to call the method in this Jenkins file?
I'm not following the question, maybe, Jyoti.
Jyoti
or Mansa?
No, it's Mansa. It's
yeah,
Mansa. In the Jenkins file, Samir, we are specifying @ and then the library name, right?
Mm-hmm.
After that, we are calling the method.
Mm-hmm.
Is that mandatory to call that method?
No, it is not mandatory to call the method. If you just put
if we
this
don't
load,
call method, it will use the total code, right?
Yes. The whole purpose of adding this method is anything that is common code, you want to extract it and put it in shared library. So you could still have the whole Jenkins file or whatever that pipeline that you have. You will have the curly braces, and then you'll have script over there. And inside script, you can call the method. So you don't have to call just this method over here. You can call it here. Then you'll have another method that you'll call. So you could actually take pieces of code and extract it and put it up into shared library. If you're doing something with file system, probably you'll have file.groovy. If you're doing something with URLs, you'll probably have url.groovy, so on and so forth. So you start with that basic thing. But the answer to you is it is not mandatory. But if you're loading a library, the whole purpose is you'll be calling some method from that library. Otherwise, it is just redundancy, right? Why do you even want to do this? Not required. Make sense or no?
I'm thinking like if we don't call any method, it will download everything from that library, no?
No, it will not.
No, it will not. Okay,
No.
We should call the method.
You should call the method.
Yeah, that's what my question. Okay.
Yeah, you should call the method.
Okay.
Yeah. Because in your wares folder, there can be hundreds of files sitting out there. And in each of the file, there can be tens of methods. I mean, to start with, it's always a good practice to have one method in one file. Okay. Like the way they're showing it. But eventually, when you move under the other format, right, which I showed you over here. Which I said you can eventually have it under source. You can actually create real Groovy file with real class names, so on and so forth. So this will give you a lot more power. Today, when we did HC, this is the format that we're following, because this format allows me to write unit test, so on and so forth. But to start with simplicity, start from here. Okay, and then you can follow the same thing. You know, there's so many more things that it is giving as an example. So just follow this thread and you should be an expert, at least to start with, right? And then you can build on top of it. All right, I'm going to stop sharing recording now.